This is Dave Boyle, Director of White on Rice, and you're watching channelapa.com. A lot of the ideas for it had been brewing for a while, but then kind of the turning point came when we played at the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival, and we had a really great screening there. And around that time, through the screening, I met one person, Win Tran, who's a sales agent and marketing guy who kind of came on board with it, and then also somebody that he had worked with before, a company called Variance Films, and they had been involved in some of these kind of guerrilla marketing style releases before, and so it just seemed like the stars were all aligned, and it was time to get going on getting this movie into theaters. And that was when we started really putting all the kind of ideas and notes that that I had combined with a lot of the things that they had tried before in the past, and put it together and started, starting to push it out there. From the beginning, we knew it was going to be a web-based thing because, it's not really much of an ad budget or anything like that, so it had to be as much free publicity as possible, free or, as cheap as we could do. Well, the nice thing about social media is that it's free, and you can, and it's targeted. People join your group on Facebook or whatever because they're interested in the movie. So right off the bat, you have an audience. Somebody who at least whatever sort of advertising content you can show it to them. And I mean that's the main reason why we use this. It seems like every movie has a Facebook or social networking aspect to their campaign. But for us, that was really the base that we tried to build on because we don't really have any other options. Well, the exclusive clip placement was actually something that our publicity team at NPRM put together, and they have really good relationships with a lot of the websites. And some of them were people that we already knew, and then so together, once we sort of had the pool of material, we talked about where might be the best place to premiere each clip, and then that I was really glad that we had a publicist helping us with that, because that's a full-time job in and of itself, disseminating all the material everywhere. And so I'd say that probably the highest profile. We were able to get a banner on Apple trailers for this week, which was really great because everybody looks at those trailers and everything. And then some of the other ones, I don't know. It's interesting to look at the web traffic and see what drives the most traffic to your site. But Angry Asian Man has actually been a really great source of web traffic for us. I mean, I've really relied a lot on the guys who came on board, like Win and the guy at Variance Films. Since they've done this before, they've seen what works and what doesn't. And we've experimented with a lot of other promotions with community groups and stuff, and it's just really, while there is a plan to it, since there's so few of us working on it, it's really a case of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. And after opening weekend in Los Angeles and Orange County, we sort of saw what really seemed to be bringing people out and what was maybe not as effective. My own website, it's a challenge with movie websites because I find that people don't visit them repeatedly. Even if there are constant updates and stuff, it's I can't remember the last time I went to a movie website, I'll put it that way. But I go visit blogs every day, Usually people, I think, go to a movie website, they watch the trailer, and then they form an opinion one way or another, but either way, they usually don't visit the website again unless they're checking for movie times or something. And so with that in mind, we just kind of decided to concentrate on other websites, like movie blogs, and then our own Facebook group and Twitter and stuff like that, and just focusing on having really personal interaction all the people who are looking forward to seeing the movie and all the people who have seen the movie, because really it's the people who talk about the movie, they're the best marketing tool you have, because I mean, when it comes right down to it, Facebook and Twitter, even though they're new mechanisms, they're just an extension of word of mouth, or they're just a vehicle for word of mouth, and so that's sort of the way I look at it. Yeah, we did use YouTube, but just to, I think the hard part about YouTube is that there's so much clutter, and it's really hard to, if you can get YouTube to get behind what you're doing and put it on their front page, that's one thing. But if you're just uploading a video, it's there's never any guarantee that more than a couple hundred people will check it out. Whereas Vimeo, I sort of like it better for embedding videos in other blogs maybe that are taking our material, and the quality is a little higher. And just in general, whenever I see a blog or a website that has a YouTube embed, I usually don't click on it just because I think, oh, it's a YouTube video. Whereas a Vimeo feels, to me, it somehow feels a little bit more special, I guess. I don't know. So, and it also helps, they have functions on there so that you can have exclusive embeds on certain websites, so that, because I mean, a lot of websites, though, they may not post a clip for you unless they have the exclusive, and so that's one way to accomplish that. Facebook, well, the Facebook ads have been kind of an experiment, and I'm not, and this is really Win Tran, the other guy who's managing this release, is really into statistics, and he likes to analyze how many click-throughs there are, and but it's hard to tell what kind of effect they have, just because Facebook ads are so subliminal. They're off to the side, you almost never notice them, but they're also inexpensive enough, and you're able to target them. You can target them to people who have certain interests or people in certain areas. So since we're doing a limited platform release, just opening city by city, it seemed like a good way to target people in the specific areas that we wanted to go with very specific information. I feel like this is the kind of movie that we don't have name brand stars per se in this. I mean, they're name brand stars to me, but they're it's not like it's not the kind of thing that has the instant recognition for people. And the other thing is that I'm not like an internationally recognized auteur or anything like some, and those are the two things that art house or mainstream films usually rely on to be able to have staying power. For us to make a personal connection with the audience, it just seems like if we actually meet them and talk to people, then that's about all we got in our bag of tricks. We use Twitter more for announcement type of communication, whereas Facebook is there's more back and forth between fans and stuff, and we get a lot of messages every day from people who are seeing the movie or who want to know when it's going to come to their town, and then Twitter. We also use Twitter to track where people are talking about the film, and sometimes it helps us see which of our promotions is working the best. That's a constant. Yeah, it's tough, and I mean I've done lots of street team work, and so I know how hard it is. But a lot of the street team stuff has been Win Tran. He loves doing that stuff, and oftentimes it's him wearing the banana suit. In fact, I'd say most of the time. You have to be a little bit crazy to be a grassroots promoter, and he's got a little bit of a wild streak in him, and he really likes that.